The thief is wearing an angelic mask and asking for some help they probably shouldn't be. We've got the Archangel Harahel, intellectual richness, and the Goetia Orias, theft and destruction. And when I was getting ready for that last reading yesterday, I got kind of a whisper on the wind, if you will, that someone is trying to summon a Goetia, or they're trying to seek the help of a Goetia to whatever end, I'm not sure. But it could follow some of the things we were seeing in that reading of maybe trying to steal, because following through with that theft theme, steal creative ideas, ideas in the workplace, steal your time in some manner. So we'll start getting some cards out, but I wanted to explore that a little bit further. And since we are talking about Goetia, I will be kind of flipping back and forth between like magical tense and mundane tense, and I'll try to be specific, but I might miss that. So what is this person asking for help with? And this card, when it came out angel side up. So that's where I'm getting the impression that that's the mask that the person is trying to wear, because we saw that in the last reading, that the mask is coming off. And it may have got re-affixed, like improved and then put back on. But the kind of persona that this would be like the misogynist who's been abusive their entire life, but they went to church for 6 weeks and now they're saved. I think it's called Russell branding now. After I saw that interview with him, that painful, awkward silence of him looking through the Bible, that was uncomfortable. But maybe they could be a closeted practitioner. Maybe they're not advertising that, or they're just kind of operating in that duality of disingenuine intent. So what's the Goetia side of this coin? What are they seeking help for? Because that could be a full-on summoning. It could just be asking for advice. Just taking the bottom one. And those can get pretty deep. Like Ars Goetia, the Book of Enoch, Enochian magic, and the Kabbalistic angels and Tree of Life. Like, could spend an entire lifetime on those disciplines. But we've got the Scholar, investigation and research, but it came out reversed. And Harahel is a very intellectual angel. Just the things that are watched over. And what was it? I'm just skimming my notes here. Students of science, stock exchange, and they speculate successfully. Distinguished by talents and fortune. So money matters. Maybe asking for help with money matters. And what a typical reason that people will reach out to Goetia and the clock chime on that one. But students of science too. So it's almost like the thief wants to come across as the superior one, and kind of in all ways. Because another aspect of Harahel is getting children to be obedient and assisting with women's sterility. But just the way, the vibe that this person gives off, the thief from the last reading to this one, This storyline started in the Watcher reading, is kind of what it feels like with Citadel. But this is like the typical family man, has some sort of important job that's difficult in some aspect, like takes some sort of, I don't know, advanced education or something like that. Um, but giving off that impression out in the public, but then behind closed doors, behind the mask, it's theft and destruction, and maybe they're just using jargon to sound like they know what they're talking about. Like doing something technical enough that the person on the other side of the table doesn't know enough to know what questions to ask. Like some sort of, they don't necessarily know what they're doing, but they know the other person definitely doesn't know what they're doing. So it's like kind of playing that strategy that way. So what are they trying to steal? Like, what's this mask about? Because there are a lot of possibilities in that last one. King of Cups. Buer is the Goetia deck. It's the 72 Lesser Keys of Solomon. Well, and I think it did come up like almost a rejection that was a non-rejection, so they're trying to steal a person, like capture a person's heart, something like that. And Orias, what Orias does is teach about astrology and the signs and the houses and things like that. So could be somebody trying to do something to a specific area of their or your birth chart, something like that. Like if someone, I don't know, is trying to cast a love spell, something like that, sweetening spell, whatever, they might look for your Venus placement and try to do something to that if they know your chart. And it's never a bad time to ward your chart. Because it's easy to get into really innocent conversations with people about astrology. It's fun to talk about and whatnot. But you never know what someone isn't telling you because they're presenting themselves as trustworthy. And warding your birth chart, you can get pretty granular with that in your practice. But another thing you can do as well, you can set up wards for the future. So if there's some sort of, I don't know, an important event coming up, like an interview. That was an example. Work stuff was an example in the last reading. So say you have an interview coming up. You can look for the Sagittarius, which I got on the dice roll, but the Sagittarius or ninth house area of your birth chart, look for the celestial signature for that day of the interview and ward that area of your chart. It's going to depend on where the chips fall, on the transits and everything as to how you want to do that. But it's like protecting your old beater of a car to make sure that you get to the interview on time, that it doesn't keep dying on its regular schedule that it always does, that you, what's it called? You're like invoking Deus Ex Machina, plot armor to help yourself get to the interview so you get your fair chance. It's not giving yourself an unfair advantage you wouldn't otherwise have. It's protecting your path, if that makes sense. But maybe somebody's trying to interfere with your path in some way. Maybe you're a competition. Maybe you're very scholarly, very smart, which that would make you competition. Somebody who does their research, doesn't just wing things. And you can get those sets of like astrology dice, and you can even just do a random word like that. That can be fun. So what else about this King of Cups? Trying to thief or steal something from either them themselves or something from. What's this? Page of Cups, another court card. Who is this? Fur. Made me think of that meme, Moon. Dang it, Moon. A Page of Cups. Messenger. Student of Emotions. It's like someone trying to mimic your emotional mastery. Because the King of Cups is the master of emotions. And the Page of Cups is still learning, but it's like they're not doing their homework. It's like learning therapy speak, but not doing the therapy. Not actually facing the wounds. Maybe to compete with you in some manner. So what else about the scholar? Go with that one. Cups. Stole us. 10 of Cups. More astrology. That was in reverse. So trying to, and all cups so far, and that follows the Crew of Cups reading, where it's just like it's all cups. Something about emotional manipulation. But also now there's this extra layer of astrology, because Stolas is another teacher of astrology in the Goetic hierarchy. And kind of, on appearance, unassuming. Because they're an owl. And an owl came out in the charms in the last reading. So that wisdom. And I believe it might be Orias. Actually, can't remember which one it is. But there's also an emphasis of teaching divination. So this could be someone who's abusing divination and like reading on your birth chart or something without permission, and then trying to impact your path in some way, like your Jupiter placement here. Could be that. And Destiny Swap has come up in recent readings as well, so it's like trying to take your place. And there goes the clock. But it follows kind of that example that I was using in the last reading of somebody's in the wrong position in an organization, and then something happens, and now the right person who could have actually done something about that isn't there. So they want say your destiny, something that looks to be in your birth chart, something like that. But they don't want to do the work, and they're also not qualified. It's something that like would be wasted on them because they can't handle it. They might think they can, but just knowing the right words to say, that's surface. You need the depth behind it. So what in your birth chart are they after? Wasn't really expecting like a full-on witch wars type of reading. Let's see, what are they after? And it doesn't, and these are coming out in little groups. And again, it doesn't necessarily have to be an actual practitioner. It could be someone just manipulative and causing a muck. The forgotten. Missed opportunities and fear of failure, but it's in reverse. That's a cool card. And this has always reminded me of the Animatrix. The kid that's like really excited to get on the Nebuchadnezzar. There's a little installment, I guess, on the Animatrix. I don't know what to call it, but where he saves himself from the Matrix. Like that kid wakes himself up. He doesn't have a Morpheus. It's a really intense, well, short, I guess. But it looks like that. The artwork looks a lot like that. So something in your birth chart that would set you free. And it does say the forgotten. So maybe something that would make you known. What would it be? Like your 10th house, maybe? Like 10th house Pluto? Because I think that's like, I have a signature kind of like that. Like, I'd heard it spoken of very highly, but Pluto in Scorpio in the 10th. So it'd be something like a heavy hitter placement like that. And if you're not familiar how to read your own birth chart, I like the Chani app myself, not sponsored. That's just the one I prefer, all the granularity and such. But there's also little workbooks that you can do to actually really build your foundation with understanding your birth chart. And don't forget the transits. That's a reason I like that app, because it digs into the transits, which are a really important aspect of that. So what area is this? What will not be forgotten that wanted to be forgotten? Ace of Pentacles. There's another one behind there. Ace of Pentacles in reverse, and who is this? Oh, the Death card in reverse. I'm trying to cover her. Gemori? I don't know if I'm saying that right. So Death and the Ace of Pentacles in reverse. Not wanting you to get some sort of opportunity? Actually trying to interfere with you achieving some opportunity, but the change didn't arrive? So it's like the goal was for you to be forgotten or invisible in some way. Maybe it is like an interview process or something, and trying to impact your memorability. Something like that. I don't know. Because that's kind of a broad target. Just the opportunity. What would prevent you from getting that opportunity? And it's kind of foggy energy because it feels cloaked. And that went right over to that placement. That's like this. Emphasis. 10 of Pentacles in reverse. And then the Lovers upright. It's almost like trying to prevent you from getting some sort of career, financial opportunity and whatnot so that you'll be available for the Lovers, which you might not be to this person. And this kind of looks like Sleipnir, I think is how that's pronounced, the 8-legged horse from Norse pantheon. And then looks like this is Lilith, and I definitely can't show that card. But White Knighting came up in the last reading too. This is like the next layer of all the examples that came up in the last reading. It's like the deeper layer. Like someone doing something to your money, to your job or something, so that you would be available for courting? I don't know. It's kind of like a really extreme version of negging, if you've heard that term. Like breaking somebody down so that you can pick them up. But again, just like in the last reading, you might not even be interested in this person. And an example too was, the reason for that was that you work together. So maybe they know that about you and are trying to impact your job in some way so that now you don't work together and they can date you. As if that would work. Because if you just lost your job, especially in this economy when things are so tight and people are sending out avalanches of resumes to get like maybe one interview, something like that, you wouldn't even be thinking about dating at that time. At least I wouldn't. But it seems really sinister. It's like preventing your escape from the Matrix. And it could just be whatever organization you work for. Maybe you're trying to seek greener pastures in a different part of the world, different part of the state, like wherever. You're just trying to live your life and this person is trying to interfere with it. So why are they trying to interfere and not just doing the work? What's that deeper reason for that? Oh, that may be. Because some people can just be hateful and whatnot, but I kind of want to know what's at the root of the why. The Walker, the unknown and a journey, but it was in reverse. 3 birds. They know they're not going anywhere. They know they don't have the same capacity as you to free yourself from the matrix, and so they're trying to restrain you. Like crabs in a bucket. I don't get to escape, so why should you? Well, because I did the work. That's why. Because I earned it. Like, that's... I don't know what else to say about that, but... What else about the walker? Like, that's one of those, like, it's just Occam's razor. I deserve the results because I did the work. And I didn't try to take advantage of anybody along the way. And it's like... being snide with somebody for, I don't know, getting on honor roll or something, like putting in enough work that it's like recognition worthy, and it's like, oh, goody two shoes, like whatever. Like, I'm trying to accomplish something here. Like, why would I worry about your ego and not just aim for the moon? And if this person really supports you, which this one sounds like they definitely don't, but somebody who does, they're gonna help try and like get you to launch. Like they're gonna assist to whatever capacity, you know, that they're able. If it's just being a cheerleader. I'm just gonna take the bottom one. This is 6 of Swords. Belial, but it came out reversed. He needs some clothes. Some coverage. And 6 of Swords is a travel card, but it's in reverse, so that's staying put. And same, a journey in reverse, so trying to keep you put because they can't do so on their own merit. They can't escape the matrix on their own merit. Just stick with that example. And like with crabs, they don't understand the logistics of, they are also trying to get out, but yeah, they're not creating like a little crab ladder the way they're going about it. A human, on the other hand, can understand their obstacles, and not every obstacle is surmountable. A lot of spiritual folks will do the toxic positivity of, you just have to put your mind to it and whatnot. Not everything is overcomable. Medical things are real. Socioeconomic constraints are real. You might have to adjust your plan from what it was originally. Like if you've ever had your health kicked out from under you, you have to make a lot of adjustments and start looking at the world in a different way. It's not getting back to what you were. It's learning how to coexist with the circumstances that have been dropped on you. It happens. People get into car accidents and lose limbs and things like that. I mean, look at, was it Game of Thrones, Jaime Lannister, one of the best swordsmen in the land, lost his fighting hand. He didn't regain his same status as before, but he was still able to move forward with his life. A lot of conflicts and things like that because Game of Thrones, but he learned how to fight with his left hand and was really, really bad at it at first. He got better, but he tried. He didn't give up. it's a lot easier to do when you're like rich and part of like a royal family and stuff like that. So there's privilege and such to take into consideration. But there is not justification for using someone else as your crutch, especially when they're not consenting to it. Because we're talking about theft here. So what else about the Walker? Let's take that. This one's coming out in clumps too. So it's like there's a lot behind everything that's being said or everything that's being done. Eight of Pentacles. Aloe Seas. This looks like one I can show. But Eight of Pentacles in reverse, that's the not the master of the work. That's not the artisan. The work is not complete. The journey is not complete. Class is not over. The semester is not over. However you want to look at that. It can also be a thief, like a creative idea thief, because other Eight of Pentacles that just came to mind was the Pulp Tarot, where they're painting pentacles. So somebody that's stealing ideas, and that not only keeps them in place, but it keeps you in place. Who's this? Three of Pentacles? Oof. Andre Alphas. Don't know if I'm saying that right. But it came out sideways. The vibe I'm getting from this is like somebody who's been stealing your work unbeknownst to you, and then is going to have the gall to try and get you to work with them without you finding out. Something like that. Like some sort of sneaky, shady, scammy, scheming, whatever's. Something else that starts with an S. But something like that, like try and convince you that like you need them for this, that, or the other and whatnot, to try and dodge accountability for something that maybe they know is going to be seen. It's not going to be forgotten. 'Cause there's that eyeball down there. But could you imagine, like, just the audacity? And people do that, like, remorselessly will just, I don't know, they'll do anything for $1 for a Klondike bar. Besides, like, anything but doing the work themselves, like going to the store themselves. If their car isn't working, like walking down the block to the gas station or whatever, something like that. God forbid. But what? So how is this going to come to light? That's what I want to know. Like what's going to be the reveal? There's a blue moon in Sagittarius, I think on the 31st. Could be that. We are also almost to the exact Mars-Pluto square. That could be the thing that brings something to the surface, that astrological signature. That can be pretty explosive, bringing things up from the depths, like from the bottom of the ocean, conflicts and secrets and things like that, in like the Godzilla fashion. Like they're definitely getting the bends coming up that quickly. So how's this coming to light? And that's tomorrow, the Memorial Day. 25th, I think. May 25th. So more emphasis on astrology. And if you're like an artist, something like that, and say you've got like a, I don't know, gallery open, something like that, and it's your first one, it's a big deal, warding that date, that time, those transits and whatnot, that might be a good deal or good idea if you're dealing with somebody like this that might want to, well, if they weren't able to stop you from actually having the gallery opening at all, like snuff out the flame, then they might do something to make it a spectacle, to interfere with it, something like that. But we've got the twins. Self-protection and dual nature. Keep that upright. But it came out reversed. A couple of cranes, too. Actually, I'm getting yang form, Tai Chi. The snake and crane, but 2 cranes. An interesting fight. That style. So maybe, because Orias in organic form shows up holding 2 snakes, 2 hissing snakes, and now we have 2 cranes. So mirroring in that way, but in order to overcome, change the energy, you might have to shift out of your crane and into your snake, if that makes sense. It's martial arts, but it's very, like, Tai Chi is Taoism in motion. It's a really valuable art. I really liked it as a counterbalance to MMA many, many moons ago when I was doing that. And it will trash your legs in a really surprising way. But I like it. And there's a lot of, I think, some home videos too, just like home videos on yoga. I used to have DVDs and whatnot, but you can do it from home. So what about these twins? Queen of Cups. Citri. And I've heard Citri talked of as kind of a trickster, shapeshifter energy. And some of these, I don't know, details that come up about Goetia and angels and such get mixed up with the real literature, with like video games and stuff like that. But something I saw a while ago was that the rule of thumb when summoning Citri is don't. Because Citri is the Egyptian god Set, the god of chaos. So it's like true nature revealed. They can't mimic, they can't mirror anymore. I mean, that's kind of the idea of something getting revealed, but how? Could be that square, maybe? I see lots of faces on that one. Dantalion, the High Priestess, is in reverse. Secrets revealed, yeah, okay. More emphasis on that. Something's getting revealed. 6 of Pentacles in reverse. Unequal give and take. 2 of Swords. Saleos. Kind of looks like Sobek. Speaking of Egyptian gods, but looks like a snake, maybe? Kind of looks like a snake with an alligator face. Interesting placement on the swords, though. Because there's one sword at the throat of the creature, and there's one sword at her throat. So it's kind of like, if you don't back off, I'll take both of us out. And the throat, that's the voice. Oh. So maybe an example's just kind of forming. Because I mentioned somebody might be trying to do something audacious, like stealing your work and then convincing you to work with them, something like that. But it might even be like, if you don't stop what you're doing, I'm going to shut both of us down from your work. Like both these businesses, whatever they've been stealing from you, I will shut us both down in some way just to get you to stop talking. By revealing something. Maybe they think they have something on you and they don't. Or it's going to be like vague language, something like that, that makes you feel nervous, like that would be the intent. Because again, intellectual richness. Wordsmith. Phrasing things in such a way that, or I don't know, makes it seem like they have more legal backing than they actually do. Playing those kind of games, something like that, when really you're the one that has the case. And them coming forward, maybe that gives you the material, the information you need to countersue or whatever. Of course, talk to attorneys and not the tarot reader if something like that actually comes up. But if you get any sort of like official communication in the mail, because maybe they filed something, and like courts work at the speed of government, it could have taken a long time for this to come through, and maybe long enough that they realized they should have not done that, but it was too late. Like the action was taken. So if you get some sort of official communication, breathe, take a breath. Just because it's on fancy official documentation doesn't mean you need to panic. That's the same kind of strategy that like phishing emails would use, social engineering, stuff like that. You know, the ones that like, oh, what are those text messages that I keep getting? You have an outstanding balance with the DMV or something. Something like that. But official communication, take a breath, read it, and then maybe set it down, and then come back to it in a little bit and read it again. Maybe even from the bottom to the top. Because we skim, like we get nervous and we read really fast and we miss things. So read it backwards and help yourself slow your brain down from all that anxiety. Because this is somebody, I'm not even getting with something to gain, somebody with a lot to lose. So, and they might be asking for help from the other crabs in the bucket. I don't know. Heck, maybe they got an attorney and then lied to the attorney or something. Because, yeah, attorneys can be snakes and sharks, like whatever. But they expect honesty so they can be dishonest. So they can kind of work and frame things and whatnot. At least the slimy ones. We need more daredevils out there. Maneater. Maybe some video game time to calm an anxious mind. Because if you're going through something stressful and somebody's trying to poke and prod, even if you're well equipped for whatever this is, it might be annoying, it might be aggravating, it might be irritating. You know, that Mars energy. Take a break. You know, for some people it's a long weekend this weekend. Put your feet up. If you just want to relax, do that. Because a lot of people will be like, go for a walk, go do this. And meanwhile, like, your nervous system is buzzing and you're fried. It's okay to sit down. It's okay to put your feet up, have a nice lunch, have a nice dinner, whatever, and take care of yourself so that you can come up against anybody that's trying to do you dirty. But overall, I hope this helps. I hope this resonates, and if it doesn't, I hope the next one does. Thank you so much.